Hello, hello. This is your host Dre, and I want to try to make this one super quick. Um, I want to tie a few things together, and I've been debating whether or not to actually make an anti-black misandry video, but the more and more I fight it, the more and more I think it's necessary. Recently, Ari Lennox came out with some comments about the show Martin, and I want to kind of give my 2 cents as well as see if I can evoke some deeper thought. So, while I do love Ari Lennox, um, I love her as a singer and performer. She is quite a beautiful young lady, but with this take, I really gotta ask, what are we doing here? For those that don't know, Ari essentially said that in the show Martin, the way Martin went at Pam was colorist. If I'm so inclined with editing, I might find where she said all this and put it in there. If not, just take the Cliff Notes version, the TLDR. Two things. One, I'm not saying you have to like the show Martin, and that if you don't, something's wrong with you, or anything like that. But I watched Martin when I was coming up, and I still watch reruns from time to time when I'm getting dressed in the mornings. I really struggle to see colorism, and I'm a dark skinned dude. Now, granted, maybe I'm a little biased because I don't really truly believe colorism exists. And what I mean by that is the thing that we refer to as colorism is just an extension of racism that we or the greater society has reinforced through centuries of its treatment of black peoples. To me, colorism isn't really a thing, it's racism. But, that aside, that debate probably can be had another day. Martin made fun of everybody on that show. Martin himself was made fun of on that show. Oftentimes, especially as some of the seasons got on, Pam was kind of getting in his ass a little bit in those exchanges. And was coming out, I felt like she was kind of getting the better of him a good bit of the time. Like you can see where they made each other sharper. Especially in that last season, because Pam effectively was the female lead because of the whole situation that happened with Gina. For those that don't know, if I recall it correctly, season 5, they didn't do any scenes together, save for the series finale. Because there was some harassment type stuff going on. If I'm, don't quote me on that. Mine's a little fussy, but there was something going on between Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell, the actress who played Gina. Hell, for that, if you feel that him joking on Pam is colorist, it's him joking on Gina colorist. I think he used to call her muscle booty or something like that. And then he always talked about her head. Always clowned her for her head. The same way Pam oftentimes joked on him about his height and his ears. Same way everybody joked on Cole for being dumb. Tommy for being bald. Like, what are we really talking about here? And the way that Twitter and some folks have mobilized, like, we have to take down Martin, he's problematic. What are you talking about? You do realize, in terms of media, and this isn't to say that things are perfect by no means, but you do realize Martin is like a cultural icon. That show? How come, and this is where I really want to go with it. How come, as black people, anybody can say they don't like something, and there's a mass of people ready to go get the pitchforks out, and never anybody willing to look up? You ever ask yourself who had creative control? You ever ask yourself who produced the show? You ever ask yourself who puts this out? You ever ask yourself who's behind certain messages? And that's not to move the goalposts, but it is to say, like, yo, we as a people, we gotta be smarter. I don't feel it's productive to go back, especially with old media, and try to rehash things with modern sensibilities, because you always are going to find things problematic, because society is always changing. And I really believe that, 20, 30 years from now, I really truly believe this will be looked at as like the pussy pansy era, where everybody's so super uber sensitive. And I had this debate with one of my friends in film. I said that I don't think the 2010s and 20s will be remembered very much in terms of media. And the reason is because everything is so very sanitized. There's nothing that really stands out very much, or very few, rather, I should probably say. Nothing is a bit hyperbolic. But there are very few shows and movies and things that really stand out and make that type of oomph and impact. And the things that do often stand on business. Very often are the things that stand on business. So I disagree with her take. I think the reaction it inspired is problematic. Because I'm going back to Sanford and Son, going back to the Jeffersons, going back to a lot of old TV shows and movies. You're going to have a problem with it if you're looking at everything through this 2025 lens. You're probably not going to enjoy a lot of stuff very much. And that's just being real. That's just being real. Because everything is going to offend you. And you're not going to be able to take a joke. Oh my God, like go Chappelle show. Hell, if you want to talk about Colorist, although I don't really feel Chappelle was colorist or in any way of the show. As a kid going through high school, the moment that the Charlie Murphy True Hollywood Story of Rick James dropped, the moment I saw that, I already knew what it was, because the moment Rick James popped up, darkness, I was like, I already knew I was going to hear that at school. And I did. For like, people ran that one all the way out. Every now and then, somebody, one of my friends will bring it back. Darkness, how you doing? God it's one of those things where, as black folks, we crack on each other, we Jones. And oftentimes, it's not a case of people being mean-spirited. It's quite the opposite. You know, if people feel like they can joke with you and crack with you and everything like that, it means you're one of the group. That's the invitation to the group. So, I get not liking some media. I don't get where some of these feelings of colorism and inadequacy and attack are coming from that Ari has expressed. I feel that the reaction that she inspired with her comments really just taps into, and in her comments in part themselves, taps into the anti-black misandry that's in society. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it was a reverse dynamic, and keep in mind, there are times where this was the case on the show, where Gina and Pam are getting at Martin and dogging Martin down. Are we gonna say that's colorist as well? Or is it only colorist when something that could be potentially perceived as offensive to women is said? That's really my problem with this whole era and a lot of the things that people advocate for. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I'm not for these one-way things. Like, if you want the society to be a particular way, it has to be that way for everyone, not for selective ones. And I really feel like if this was a show, like, say for instance, if this was Girlfriends, and I can't remember the dude with the fro, whatnot, but if the girls were cracking on him, nobody would ever say it was colorist. Nobody would. We, as a culture and community, have grown ever increasingly accepting of the debasement of men in our society and culture. And that is inherently problematic, because we're talking about a TV show today when, with what's going on in the world, it's far more of greater impact and import to these very same black folks who all of a sudden, Martin's colorist. Martin been out since what? Martin ended like what, 97? 98? So for damn near 30 years you ain't had a problem? But you got a problem the minute Ari Lennox say something? I have never heard anybody say this before like 2-3 days ago. But now Black Twitter all up in arms debating whether or not we should cancel Martin. Like, what? Come on, man. Come on, man. But that reaction and that enmity and dismissal, it ties into so many different areas of the society, from education to law enforcement to investment to overall just general social perceptions. I guarantee you right now, if somebody says something or just says a particular statistic and asks you where a black man is, you immediately assume he's at the worst possible end of whatever it is. If I say parenthood, you assume black men are bad dads. And it's quite the opposite. Black men are some of the best and most involved dads. Income. Black men ain't where we need to be, but we ain't rock bottom. And I could go on and on and on and on and on. I ain't saying we ain't got work to do in certain areas, especially like life expectancy. But a lot of people just talking out their ass and don't really know what the fuck is going on. Don't know that black men's incarceration rates is falling. Don't know that more and more young brothers is going to college, doing their thing. But I'm gonna say that for another video. I think I am gonna do that video. But let me know your comment, your thoughts down below. Am I off base? Am I missing something? Is Martin really a super colorist show? And I'm just out of touch. I'm off base on this one. I'm off cold. Is the reaction that got inspired by everybody? Is it worth it? Is it the right direction that we need to be heading in? Should we be doing this with all of our old media? You let me know your thoughts. Peace. Hope you have a great day. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.